Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. Today we're going to talk about regenerative braking, and that is a topic that I really haven't addressed up until now. But with all this talk about how the brake lights function and when they function with the Ioniq 5 and other eGMP cars from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, I wanted to kind of do a video about the topic. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys from behind what the car does in every single regenerative braking mode. I'm also going to tell you guys a pro tip about regenerative braking that not a lot of people know, and I recently just found out, and I've been using it for a little while, and I want to tell you guys about it. So if you want to find out more about regenerative braking in Hyundai, Kia, Genesis EVs, stay tuned. So I don't really need to explain regenerative braking to owners of EVs, but if you've never driven an EV before, basically, as you are decelerating, the car is using the motors, it's reversing them, and it's putting power back into the battery pack that otherwise would have just been dissipated through the friction brakes and turned into heat. But it's capturing that energy, and it's not putting it to waste, it's putting it back into the battery for future use. So that's the idea behind regenerative braking. And what's nice about Hyundai, Kia, Genesis EVs is that they let you pick from a plethora of different settings for regenerative braking. So in these cars, you have level 0 is basically just coasting, you're freewheeling. Level 1 is probably what I would say is the closest to engine braking or just coasting in a gas-powered car. So you're going to lose a little bit of speed, but not too much. Level 2 is where things start to get interesting, because level 2 is where you start to get a little bit heavier regen. The brake lights will kick on if you take your foot fully off the accelerator pedal. Level 3 takes it up all the way, the most amount of regen, and then I-pedal in our cars actually brings the car to a complete stop. Level 3 will not come to a complete stop. I-pedal ties that in and brings it into the party. There's also a 6th regeneration mode, which is auto. Now, for those who don't know what auto basically uses the terrain in the maps of the car. It also uses the car in front of you to determine how much regeneration it should be applying if the car in front of you is slowing down or accelerating. If you're slowing down, you want to start to increase the regen. If the car in front of you is accelerating, you want to decrease the regen and allow the car to coast a little bit more. So auto regen is activated by just simply pulling on the right-hand paddle for 1 second, and you'll see it activate in the driver display, and then you know it's active. So once you're in auto mode, you can use the left and right paddles to go ahead and tailor the drive mode to your liking. If you want heavier regen, lighter regen, it's all up to you. There's also 3 settings under EV settings for the car, under Smart Regenerative System, where you can then choose in auto mode if you have strong deceleration, medium deceleration, or slower deceleration of the vehicle. So I usually keep mine set at medium. I also don't really drive in auto mode all that often, so I just kind of stick it in that middle ground just in case I do find myself in that setting. Now, with that brief description of how the regeneration system works in the different settings, I want to show you guys what the brake lights are doing when you're in these different modes, because the question comes up a lot and people really want to know what other drivers are seeing when they're using these different modes. And I think it's important to know, so I'm going to show you guys right now. All right, so I'm here in level 0. I'm going to go ahead, take my foot off the brake pedal, and begin accelerating. And take my foot off the accelerator, and now the lights come on. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the brakes, and now the lights do come on. All right, so we'll go into level 1. 1 click on the left pedal, and we'll begin accelerating. Foot's off the accelerator. No brake lights on until I hit the brake pedal. All right, so we're in level 2, and we'll do the same thing. Go ahead and accelerate. Foot's off. Lights come on. And stop the car. Now, I was doing a decent amount of speed there, but I know for a fact that in level 2, if you go ahead and accelerate gently, say 5 miles per hour, and then take your foot off the accelerator, the lights do not come on, which is very interesting. So level 2 kind of uses a blended system. You can see that at low speeds they don't come on, but at high speeds they do come on. So now let's go up to level 3, do the same thing. We'll accelerate only to 5 miles per hour this time. Pull our foot off the accelerator, and the same thing is happening as in level 2. The brake lights are not illuminating. I'll now step on the brake pedal, come to a stop, and you can see now the brake lights are on. So let's go ahead and accelerate a little harder in level 3 and see what happens. So accelerating, foot's off the accelerator, and stopping. So now let's go ahead, one more click into I pedal. That's one pedal driving, and we will begin accelerating. Foot's off the accelerator, and you can see the lights come on as I do come to a complete stop without putting my foot on the brake pedal. Okay, so now let's do that at 5 miles per hour this time. Foot's off the accelerator, and the lights come on, and we come to a complete stop. So this little secret that I want to tell you guys about is using the left pedal to come to a complete stop if you are in other regeneration modes that don't come to a complete stop. So say you like driving in level 0, you like coasting a lot, or level 1. So we'll click over into level 0. And what you're going to find is when you want to come to a complete stop, say you're coming up on a stop sign, all you got to do is pull the left pedal and it gives you full regenerative braking. So I'll demonstrate that right now. So we'll begin accelerating. There's 5 miles per hour. We're just coasting. And I will pull on the pedal. You can see down there it says max, and then it says stop. And now the car has come to a complete stop. My foot never touched the brake pedal. So this can be a nifty trick if you like driving in more similar to gas car modes, but you also want to have the luxury of not having to move your foot back and forth to the brake pedal. So you can just use the left paddle. So let's try it in level 1, accelerating, foot's off, pull on the paddle, complete stop. Here's level 2, accelerating, foot's off, hold down the paddle, come to a complete stop. Let's try level 3 now, see what that does. Accelerating, foot's off the pedal, pull the trigger, come to a complete stop. So now let's see if we're in auto mode, if the left paddle will work to bring the car to a complete stop. So we'll go ahead and accelerate, pull on the paddle, and it does. It gives you full auto and comes to a complete stop. Now I should mention that when you do use the left paddle, you can use it briefly just to slow down, and below 1.8 miles per hour, if you're still holding the left paddle, it will continue to bring the car to a complete stop. It will not allow you to coast if you let off of it. So keep that in mind if you are decelerating using the left paddle. So when you're in auto mode, do the brake lights come on? Let's put it in the heaviest level of auto until the indicator doesn't move to the left anymore. And we'll go ahead, give it some acceleration, let off. And yes, the brake lights do come on briefly. Now let's go into the lowest level of auto and see what happens. Foot's off the accelerator. Brake lights do not come on. So as you can see, the regenerative braking system in this car is very capable. You have many choices, but you can also see that it can get complicated in terms of knowing what the brake lights are actually doing and when. So now that we've seen this just brief demonstration in my backyard, something that I get questions about all the time is, what are the brake lights doing when you're in highway drive assist on the highway? Because a lot of people get cars flashing their high beams at them, and people get nervous thinking something else is wrong with the car. But I have a sneaking suspicion that it is the brake lights illuminating on and off and on and off and on and off, instead of just keeping them off as the car is slowly decelerating. So I'm going to take you guys out on the highway now, and we're going to take a look and see what that looks like. All right, so we are going to head out on the highway, put the car in highway drive assist 2 for my SEL, and we are going to see how the brake lights function on the highway in that mode. All right, so we are on the highway. I'm going to go ahead and set highway drive assist to 66 miles per hour since it is a construction zone here. We'll hold at 65, but we're going uphill slightly. Some nice fresh asphalt, which is always good. There's no cars directly in front of me right now, so that's fine. But now we're going downhill slightly. And my brake lights are currently on, even though I'm just maintaining 65 miles per hour. And we're getting to the bottom of the hill, the lights come off. Very strange how it does this. I don't really understand why, since we're not losing speed. We're simply going downhill, maintaining the same speed as if we were in like level 1 regeneration. But now we're just slowing down to try and maintain distance behind this truck. Not really losing any speed, but the brake lights are on. It's just riding the brake lights all the way down this hill, even though we're maintaining a constant speed. And we're cresting the hill, and now we're heading down. We'll set the cruise control to 70, see what it does. Nobody directly in front of me, so it shouldn't be stopping for any cars that it's coming up on. And the brake lights are on, just coasting down this hill. How unfortunate. So I'm now starting to see why other drivers might be flashing at you on the highway when you have highway drive assist activated. It's because your brake lights are just constantly on if you're going down a hill, but you're not really slowing down. It's just unnecessary, in my opinion. And we're going down a little hill again here. And there go the brake lights again. So I think we can call this test pretty much done. Even just a slight decline, and the brake lights are coming on to maintain a constant speed. And they've been on now for about 15-20 seconds here. So if I were driving behind myself, I'll be perfectly honest, I would be really irritated by the car in front of me if it were an Ioniq 5. Your brake lights only need to come on when you are decelerating. They don't need to be on for 20 seconds while you're just coasting down a hill. I can see why other people are flashing their lights. I really hope that they fix this, because to be perfectly honest, when I'm going down a hill in highway drive assist now, I'll just make sure that I'm already set up in level 1, and I'll just turn highway drive assist adaptive cruise control off. I'll leave the lane keeping on, but I will deactivate the cruise control just so that my brake lights aren't on 90% of the time going down a hill. And especially living out here more in the country where there are a lot of twisty, windy highways. It's not just like out in the Midwest where you just have straight, flat highways. You guys got it made in highway drive assist. You don't have to worry about your brake lights at all. But out here, it's just less than ideal for our type of highways. It's just like when you consider the fact that in iPedal, you can pretty much come to a complete stop very rapidly and the brake lights don't illuminate. But here we have them going on all the time, going downhill, not even losing any speed. It's like the teams that developed the braking logic just had no correspondence whatsoever. It baffles the mind. So there you have it. That's what the brake lights do when you're in highway drive assist, driving on the highway. I hope that when we eventually get this brake light update, that we do see highway drive assist brake lighting operate a little bit differently. I think if you're coasting going downhill, there's no reason the brake light should be coming on. Using level 1 regen going down the hill, you should be able to maintain a constant speed depending on the grade, but also not utilizing the brake lights, so everybody behind you thinks you're slowing down at some dramatic pace. So I would like to see that change with the brake light update. Still don't have an ETA when that's coming. We did hear July, but we're getting pretty close to the end of the July, so I'm not going to hold my breath that it's going to come in July, but August is fine too. So anyway, guys, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up, It really helps me out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.